Yo, what is everyone saying? Welcome back to the Total 90 podcast. Before I get in, obviously, big shout out to you, man. You were showing bare love on the first episode. I enjoyed it a lot. The draft was a lot of fun. Obviously, reading through the comments, there was only one clear winner. Unfortunately, it was Mr. Koto411. So he'll be back next week. We're going to do these draft videos every 2 weeks probably. So he'll be back next week to defend his title. But today we got something different again. We're going to be doing our top 10 all-time Premier League centre mids. Now, you know over here, we like to run agendas, but we're not biased. So I've got a very diverse panel, if you will, to ensure that it's not going to be anything too dodgy. So, first of all, you man saw him last week. He's here to redeem himself after some interesting takes that he had last week. Ledley King, company centre mid. It is Mr. Top Spurs, Jaden Manai. What's good?
Hey, thanks for having me on, man. And I'm not gonna go into it. People know my reasons for picking it, and we'll keep it stepping. But thanks for having me on, man. I'm looking forward to this one because I'm confident there's gonna be no Tottenham players in this top 10, so it should be a fun one.
Okay, I mean, listen, like I said, Arsenal fan, Tottenham fan, we've got fans of all clubs here, so it's not going to be anything biased, too tough anyway from my behalf. Now, up next, we have, I would say, the ultimate football scout. Some of you FM nerds, you think, oh yeah, you're bare culture because you watch Atalanta play Serie A. This guy is different. When he's done watching Serie A, he goes to watch Serie H. He goes to watch the 4th division of Bundesliga. You ask him any player from any country, he'll give you a whole paragraph on how good or bad this guy is. It is our very, very much respected mod in Twitch chat, Mr. Ep.2. What's good?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of an exaggeration, I think. But like, I don't. Yeah, but. I think I know my fair bit of football. Not that much in the Prem, to be fair, but I'm really looking forward to discussing this list.
Well, yeah, so that's why we have you, because obviously we've got a few guys that are going to be very Prem biased. So you are looking from a completely different perspective. So there's not going to be any sort of favoritism at all. So that's why we have you, and it's good to have you as well making the debut. Now, last but not least, as always, every story they have to have a villain. This is an ex-EA employee gone rogue. Attack the company from within. But he is, of course, a very fantastic individual. He's infamous for being the guy that says he doesn't get angry at FIFA anymore. But then 1 hour later, he's volleying his Xbox, snapping the disc, and then re-downloading the digital version.
That was once. Literally once.
Well,
okay,
that actually happened
once. Yes,
bro,
100%.
I'm telling you,
that is fact.
he snapped the disc live. And then he went back to download the digital version straight away. But anyway, Mr. Maverick Plays, aka Aaron Ramsey. What is good?
I'm good, man. I'm excited for this. It should be very, very interesting. And I mean, if we've got Furhat who watches Serie H, there's me who watches Prem and Prem only, if you go by most people's opinion.
Or sometimes you watch Champions League here and there, depending on
sometimes,
your
yeah,
agenda.
yeah. In the gym and that.
Yeah. Now, obviously, for those wondering about the name and stuff, Mav is having a little rebrand thing. So if you hear us call him Aaron Ramsey or whatever, we're not begging it to the Arsenal player. His name actually is Aaron Ramsey. So please bear that in mind. Also, if we see him calling him like a United fan or a Villa fan, he also supports both. That one is less acceptable, but it is what it is. Anyway, the format is very simple. I've asked the 4 panelists, well, including myself, to put the top 10 centre mids of all time in the Premier League. So you can have your box-to-boxes, your DMs, 8, 6s, whatever you want to call them, right? I've got those 4 plus 5 of our mods again to get some balance. So different clubs, you got some Spurs in there, some Chelsea in there, even a bit of Swindon in there, to be honest. So how we run it is whoever comes... Yeah, 7 Tyler, top guy. Whoever comes first in someone's list, they get 10 points. Second place is 9 points, 8 points, etc., etc. So if someone is 10th in your list, they get 1 point. We've added all the points up to get our overall list to see Wagwan. So, pretty much we have 13 names altogether. So I'll tell you the 3 names I didn't get in first and foremost. You guys might think they deserve to be in. I don't know. So I'll tell you the first one now. And in 13th, with 1 point only, none of us on the panel voted for him. Thankfully, otherwise you would have been in big trouble.
We would have got
but Mr. AJ or Asaf, Chelsea fan actually, decided to put in David Silva. Is there any reason why you didn't make your 10s? Because if I start speaking...
I feel like I've seen your social media, Amenyah. I know you talk a lot about David Silva, like trolling and that. Like, don't get me wrong. In my opinion, I think he was class for City. Like, I think top 10. I think the fact that everyone else apart from AJ has put him out of the top 10, I don't think that's a surprise if I'm honest.
Yeah. No, it's them ones there where, like, obviously I little agenda a little bit here and there, but I don't think he's needy. Obviously, you know, we don't have to go and start snitching for FG and that. But we'll move on because these, like, honorable mentions, whatever, they don't matter too much, right? So in 12th, we have same again. None of us had him, but he was very close to being in mine. To be fair, 3 points in total. Michael Essien.
Oh yeah,
understandable.
Yeah,
understandable.
Yeah.
He was very close to being in mine. To be honest with you.
To be fair, I had him in mind before I took him out.
yeah.
Same. I did as well. I literally I wrote the list down. He went in the initial draft, and then when I got a little bit deeper, he actually got pushed out.
He went down.
So
that
was the only main thing. But yeah, anyway, Essien misses out, and the last person missing out in the top 10, we do have someone on the panel who voted for him with 5 points. Actually, we have Luka Modric.
Ooh.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can the perpetrator of the Luka Modric shout let us know why he was in their top 10?
Yes, I can. Yeah. I just think it was one of those where, as I said, I didn't really use Google, and it was a case of that. I think Luka Modric has done much better things since leaving the Prem. Don't get me wrong. So I did sit there and go, am I saying this because of La Liga and his Real Madrid days? Probably yes. But for me, I just think Luka Modric is absolutely class. I thought he should have got in there. But obviously, other people didn't, or some people didn't. So it was a 50-50.
Like, I was gonna, but I just know what the modern day fans like, and it's all about winning stuff, innit?
Yeah.
Now, you know what it is?
I couldn't not, like, I just had to not put him in, because when you look at the other people on the list, which we'll soon see, like, it's just so hard to make an argument for it. But just best believe, if we have one about strikers, even though Kane's 1-0, he'll be in my list. Just know that.
This guy's already trying to get on the next one.
He had to slide that one in there. He had to slide it in there.
Yeah,
people will come back to this video and be like, oh,
I hear it.
But you said about trophies and you're not putting Modric in there.
Hey, no, but listen, it's your list, so if you wanted to have him, you could have had him. I'll tell you, 2 other people had him. Seven Tyler put him in 10th. And AJ had him in 8th place. Now, for me personally, it wasn't about the titles thing, really. It was just more so that it was about, probably 4 years, right? 2008 to 2012.
Yeah.
And I don't think he kind of set the Prem alight, let's say, straight away when he arrived. So it was more a case of the guys above him were on a similar or probably better level in the Prem for a lot longer. So longevity kind of had to play a part in that one. I still rate it. It's not like a Tottenham hater thing, but yeah.
That's the literally the only thing for me. Like, ability wise, if you want to count his like Real Madrid time, you can even put him in top 10 of all time, in my opinion. That's how good he is.
Of a lot.
Yeah, but like just his Tottenham days, the other midfielders I put in, for me personally, ability-wise, and how long they stayed in the Prem and what they won in the Prem, just get the edge over him.
You don't get a move to Madrid like that if you are going to be very meaty. Obviously, he had that first season as well where they were voting him as like one of the worst signings ever. But I think all those Madrid fans that voted him like that, they're looking a bit silly now, to be fair. So, all-time Modric, you just about miss out on our top 10, unfortunately. But keep doing your thing. GG to you. Right, now onto the top 10. We have a player who actually ended up with 10 points to be exact. He scraped onto most people's lists, and that is Claude Makelele. I think I have to go with Mav first here because on the panel he came 10th and 8th for the other 3, but Mav, he didn't make it onto your list.
No, he didn't make it onto my list. It was a case of, I think Makelele for me deserves so much respect for the fact that he literally created the role that everyone calls the Makelele role. And I mean, even when I was younger and at school, people actually spoke about Makelele. He was in the draft, but he didn't make the final one. I don't know. Chelsea fans will hate that, but they hate anyone who says their players aren't the best ever. Do you know what I mean? So,
it makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah, I actually had him at 8th. I can't lie. I found it really hard, like for like maybe like 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th. But I just think back to the Chelsea squad, which won the league only conceding 15 goals. And every time I think of that, like my mind's just blown. Like I think it's just not spoken about enough, and I can't stand Chelsea, right? So it's very hard not to be biased. It's very hard not to be biased, but at the same time, like Makelele was at the point of that obviously Chelsea midfield or just in front of the defence as such, and he played such a big part. I think he played literally like pretty much every single game throughout the season, bar like a couple, and I think it just goes to show how good he was. Like
absolutely.
Yeah, I can't really argue with that one, to be fair. Like so far, it's been very like civil, but I think that's about to change.
As we get more towards the top.
No, actually, right now it's about to get a bit
right
now. I'm surprised this man is actually this low because I had him higher than 9th, and I'm known to have a bit of an agenda, maybe, against him.
I know who it's good.
Maybe warranted, maybe not warranted. We'll get into that in the next few minutes, I'm sure. It is none other than Paul Scholes. Now, Ferhat, you had him as the lowest, so you have no Prem bias. As a Bayern fan, I'd like to know your thoughts on Paul Scholes before we continue.
I mean, if we talk about accolades, right, which we don't rank the highest, as far as I know, he goes up there in the list easily. But for me personally, we obviously ranked ability. And from all the time that I've watched the Prem and what I remember from the Prem, I'm obviously like not the oldest, right? So I haven't seen him like completely in his prime. But from what I watched, just ability-wise, all the other midfielders I put on there, and from what I've seen from like maybe full matches back then or highlights, because I like to watch those, he just doesn't really do it for me. And that's why I have him at 9th.
Now, I'm sure Mav is going to disagree, so I'll let you take the floor, because you know where I'm going already, so I want to know Mav's thoughts. I think I know them.
I know where you're going. We've had this conversation multiple times. But again, I've given my opinion on this multiple times, and it doesn't surprise me. It really doesn't surprise me that the modern, I think Demon touched on it at the intro of this kind of podcast. What modern fans want from footballers, I think has changed a lot. And I think if you were to pick up a collective of people that watch Paul Scholes week in, week out, along with some of the other guys that are going to be in this list, I think he absolutely gets voted among the top 3 every time. I think guys like Xavi, etc., would be unless if he didn't play for Barcelona with Messi, etc. If you were to put him in football teams now, I think people would disrespect players like him too. Gattuso, there's multiple players in world football that have been the nucleus of midfields, kept the ball going, kept the ball ticking, just done the simple stuff, passed it left, passed it right when it needed to. Just be that guy you can really rely on. That if they play today, people wouldn't rate them. I mean, we've seen it multiple times. I think it also boils down to popularity in terms of Man United. Let's face it, were the most hated team for like 10 seasons in England by fact. Things like Fergie time came about because people hated that they got more extra time than others, so on and so forth. So I think that does play into people's opinions rather than footballing ability, because I just think it's crazy that Paul Scholes isn't near and in and around at least the top 5, 6, 7 sort of area for me. I don't get it. But
I hear it. Me personally, I had him 8th. I had him in 8th. I didn't have him at 9th or 10th. Like you said, you said whatever about how football has changed and whatever. To me, the way I see it is like I don't think he's media at all, right? Clearly, like, let's be honest, everyone in our top 10,
he's in the top 10.
They are like elite ballers, right? They are elite ballers and they're there for a reason. However, the reason why I started is because he sort of had like the revisionism that kind of David Silva had, which was when they've retired, now you're hearing all these things. Like, first and foremost, you have all these quotes from everyone, which half of them, as we know, they're fake or whatever. But the other half, as we've spoken about many times, I asked myself, why are you saying this now, 10 years afterwards? Because at the time, when you want to say, okay, it's time to start voting, obviously Ballon d'Or never received a single nomination or a single vote. Asamoah Gyan even had votes before. He never got into any FIFA Team of the Years. Let me get the list. What was that? And then you would say maybe like, okay, maybe it's the rival fans because it's Manchester United, blah, 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 blah. Cool. I can then tell you 0 United Fan Player of the Years. 0 PFA Fan Player of the Years. 0 England Player of the Year. So whether it was United fans, United players, England fans, England players, at the time, they weren't rating him. And there's got to be a reason for that. Like, something has changed in the last 5-6 years, which is why I disagree with you, because you said he's rated less now. I think, if anything, his status has risen more. Now, don't get me wrong, he's probably, I think he's won, he's won, ooh.
What, are you on about number of Prems?
Yeah. Is
11.
he towards 13? Is it 11? 11.
Yeah.
11 Prems.
11, yeah.
11 Prems. Listen, and he was an integral part of that, and that's why he's in my list. But I just think, when I seen him play, I don't really think he can chat to individually the guys that are above him. I would take every name that I've put above him in my list, I'll put him into that United team, and I think you still win the same things for the majority of the time. That's why I think you ask guys about Paul Scholes, the first thing they tell you is, oh, go and look at what Xavi said, go and look at what this guy said. But they weren't saying that at the time. That's my confusion. You get it?
Yeah, I think he's one of those midfielders, because he's not flashy. You didn't really hear much about his personal life outside of football until now, which we won't talk about, Mr. Paul Toes.
Yes.
Until now,
yeah, definitely.
he kept himself to himself. I don't know. I don't see how you can have a midfielder who is the anchor and the nucleus of that Man United team and won 11 titles and can't be considered a good footballer, and that you could just pick up and put anyone else in there and it works. I mean, I just don't get how that
not anyone else.
No,
anyone
it
else.
works. Yeah, sorry.
The
I
guys
took
that
what you
are
said kind of out
above
of context, but
in the list. Do you know what I mean? And like I said,
Yeah,
keep himself
100.
to himself, and I agree. He also kept himself to himself when he was dropped for the Champions League finals, because obviously Ferguson couldn't trust him in the biggest of big games. But
had to sneak that one in there.
Snuck it in.
Yeah, snuck it in.
we're not going to talk about how he was shifted left mid for England, because England didn't really win anything anyway. But we'll leave that one there. Scholes, you're a great footballer. Please leave people's toes alone, though. And we shall move on to 8th place with 36 points out of a total 90. Just, I don't know if you guys noticed, by the way, but there was 90 points because the podcast is called Total 90. Did you? Code. You know what I mean? A little bit of marketing in that.
Yeah.
Good. All right. Yeah. Another elite centre mid, and this one is the player that made me fall in love with football. Goes by the name of Cesc Fabregas. Now, Denman, since I think you felt the wrath of Fabregas more than anyone else, I'll let you give your first-hand thoughts on this magician.
He's just a menace, isn't he, at the end of the day? Like, obviously, when growing up, like, you used to have nightmares of him, Adebayo, a lot of them just absolutely tearing us apart. And he's done well everywhere he's gone, and he's got the trophies to back it up as well. And not to mention a World Cup. Now, granted, I'll be honest, I don't know how much of a play to say he actually had in that World Cup. I can't even remember. So one of you lot can correct me if I'm wrong, but just
therefore had contributions in the finals. That's all I'm gonna say.
He was a big part. He was a big part of that World Cup.
I can't even
He
remember
definitely
it
was.
still, but like the World Cup, Euros, won the Prem. Like he's just done everything. He's just a good player.
Yeah.
He's a very, very good player, and he's good to watch. So you know, you get them players who are just enjoyable to watch. Now, I can only say they're so enjoyable because obviously they're a direct rival, so it's hard to appreciate.
Yeah.
It's hard to appreciate a direct rival, but you know they're a player when you can appreciate a direct rival.
100%.
That's what
I think that's how football's kind of changed in a way, because I was saying it on stream a few times. If you go back like 10 years or whatever and you're watching football, you can enjoy rival players a lot easier because you're not having to force like Twitter agendas or whatever.
Literally.
You're not seeing kids on Twitter spamming like, oh my days, look at your guy, he has only 3 goals, my guy has 7 or whatever. Now it's
crazy,
like
innit?
you're twerking for rivals if you say they're good. So as much as we don't want to admit it yet, we're all intentionally refusing to enjoy, let's say even youngsters, for example. You will see other players and you're like, yeah, by force, my youngster has to be the best one. So I hope this guy does that.
I don't get it. Like, I can appreciate, like, I know this is a bit off topic, but I can appreciate Saka. I think Saka's class. Like, I really like him as a player.
Careful. Don't let Tottenham Twitter hear you say that, bro.
No. Right, Kulusevski all day long. Better young player. Right. But no, you know what I mean?
This guy's done the striker video, the wingers video. Any goalkeepers?
You could have said Ollie Skip or something, a player that actually came from Tottenham. Do you know what I mean? But fair play, Cooley.
I can appreciate a good player from a rival. Do you know what I mean?
I would say for me, obviously, like I said, he was my favorite. And the thing that's mad, the reason why I started the whole David Silva thing is because, again, randomly, there's this thing that how David Silva was like the best Spanish Premier League player ever or whatever. And for me, it's like Fabregas was going toe to toe with the most dominant midfields like we probably arguably ever had in the Prem, right? And the brother was 18, 19, 20. You can reel off numerous moments against like every single... I'm not even going to mention Champions League because this is a Premier League video and David Silva has 0 Champions League pedigree. So we'll ignore Champions League for now, even though Fabregas has massive nights at 18. Anyway, in the Prem alone, he's dragged teams by the neck. 18, 19 years old, 20 years old. Obviously, Arsenal captain. He went to Spain for a bit and came back to dominate again at Chelsea.
No, I think something that goes quite under the radar with Fabregas as well is that I'm using the word adapt quite loose and fast here, but when he was younger, he was a lot more explosive. He was a lot more of a dribbler. He would pick up the ball a lot more and kind of drive as well. And as he did kind of get older and mature, maybe he started to do that a lot less and become a lot more selective of when he passed, where he passed, how he passed, and you really saw him kind of come of age. He, like I said, he came through as this youngster that was just phenomenal, and then as he got older, he just got he almost aged like a wine, bro. He just got better and better and better.
It's crazy. Now in 7th, probably I would say the most audacious one so far. Reason being, some people have him first place, and some do not have him in their list at all.
No, I know who this is. I know who this is.
I thought maybe it's based on the position, but it's not based on position because the people who didn't put him in, they said he's an honourable mention. So it's not because of where he plays. 3 Prem titles and 37 points for us. Kevin De Bruyne.
Wait, first,
Kevin De Bruyne.
Amenyah, it's been a pleasure, broski.
Kevin De Bruyne.
About
7th.
Kevin De Bruyne.
7th.
No, wait, honestly, that is a joke. I don't think people actually understand how good this man is at football.
Then you put him as number 1.
Yes,
so I'd like
him as
to.
number 1, and this was like I
Number
can't lie.
one's wild.
I've let ability. I've generally looked at his like all-round game, and I've probably look. I mean, you know, I was flirting between him like in the top 3. Like I believe.
I don't know. I wasn't in your. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I just like fair enough. Number 1, looking at it, like when you look at all the other players there and like the trophies and won and stuff, fair enough. But I just generally believe like in terms of footballing ability, this man has got it all. Like he has. If you were to say what you want in a midfielder, it's Kevin De Bruyne. It's literally everything, bro. Like I just don't know how he's been disrespected and put number 7. Like granted, maybe I probably shouldn't have put him number 1. But I was just generally looking at my list and thinking ability. Just generally who has everything. And in my opinion, my second place is the only one who's probably could have been swapped with him. Like, if I'm honest.
Yeah. I listen, I understand the reasonings per se. For me...
I need to hear Mav because he's laughing. He's laughing.
Okay, no, Mav's agreeing with you, to be fair. Mav is mostly in agreement with you. Yeah, Mav is the closest one to agreeing with you here.
Yeah,
so,
the reason I'm laughing is because I heard the tone in Amenyah's voice, and I knew how he meant I respect your opinion, but
no. Listen, everyone is welcome to like. They all have their own way of weighting things, so I don't mind that. So for me, basically, okay, the reason why he wasn't that high for me, and again, he's still playing, so it's not a thing where if you're playing, you can't be rated up there. That's not how I view things. But it's hard to look at someone's legacy as a factor until they're finished, right? I don't know how he's going to end up finishing his career at Man City. For me, what I know now is, like I said, he's got 3 titles. He was, top 2, 3 most influential each and every single time for those 3 titles, absolutely. At the same time, he's had a lot of like 4 or 5 month spells where he just dipped for whatever reason, and then you have Gundogan to come and carry for a while, or you have Bernardo Silva come and carry for a while. Man City to me seems like if there's like 1 or 2 players not really firing, they can paper over it so easily because they'll have 3, 4 others that are firing. You will have spells where, let's say even the forwards, right? You have Sterling bagging like 12, 13 in a good patch, and then he dips, and then it's Mahrez taking over, and then you randomly have Jesus bagging. So for me, KDB, I notice too often that he has like fat chunks of the season where he's just not there, but then he arrives like February, like he has this season even. February, March, April. Now he's active. Probably lead them to a title if they can see off Liverpool. So if he gets another title, then yeah, like he moves up again 1, 2, 3 or 4 places. But I had to weight it with a bit of longevity and consistency in there as well.
Where did you put him?
He is 9th on my list. Behind Paul Scholes. He's behind Paul Scholes.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
Like,
Ninth.
I was going, like, a lot of my weight was going on ability, I can't lie. Cause I just
No, I hear it. To be fair, like, that is what I said that you should do. So I hear why you've done that. But I just want to see what happens in the next 2-3 years if he's going to keep on having, like, big chunks of the season where he's just not fit or he's just misfiring. Because I can't lie, like, October to December or September, December, whatever, even the entirety of 2021, I can't lie. The reason why these random United fans were screaming that Bruno was clear was because KDB just wasn't really turning up. He was still clear of Bruno by a mile, but KDB was 100%. Nowhere to be seen. And the other guys on my list, you know, for 9, 10, 11 years, I don't remember them having like half a season where they were like, meh. You get me?
That's so. Again, I'm interested in a second to see where Furhat put him as someone that admittedly says he doesn't watch too much Prem, but quickly for me, that's exactly why I put him fourth. Yeah, I put him fourth, just behind the guys, because I think the guys above him, the reason I've put them above him, which obviously we'll get into later, is exactly like you said, longevity and consistency, because I think a lot of City players, as good as they are, I think a lot of them are able to fall back on the fact that there is 18 players there that would walk into any team in the world.
Yeah, no, like listen, there was times where they were saying that does KDB even get into like a best possible City 11 right now? When he was out injured, they were saying, brother, how does he even like get back funny. In? Now, I guess Furhat, you seen him in a bit of Bundesliga as well, so I guess you can let us know. You had him in 8th place.
Yeah, I have him 8th for the exact same reason as you had him, really. Because if we talk only ability, he would probably easily be in my top 5. But for me personally, I've had times, and I mean, you know this, I love to also like work with stats, right, as well. And more than often, I would go on a site, see that De Bruyne has like an, 8.8 or something crazy. But when I actually watched the game, I didn't really notice him. And at that point, I really tried and see with De Bruyne always how does he really perform over like longer distances at times. And I've just noticed this, and I've talked with people. And we just noticed that he goes missing for some months or in some games where he needs to be turning up. And you don't really notice the brilliance that he clearly has. And what's obviously also a factor for me personally, I watched him in the Bundesliga back then. They were a big rival of Bayern when he was at Wolfsburg. And he, obviously, quality of the league was lower than in the Prem. But he never missed. He was never gone for Wolfsburg. He was always there every match. He always had something in it. He was really so explosive with every movement. And I don't always see that at City, for me personally.
Yeah, it's very easy, like, to go missing in a City team. Like, because
that's the point that was made. That's what I was going to say.
They dominate games so much, don't they?
No, he mentioned Bayern, and it made me like also think it's kind of like how Bayern would go during the season, right? Like the first 4 or 5 months, it's like, do whatever, like who cares, doesn't really matter. And then February onwards, Champions League time, you will see the actual Bayern. That's kind of how I see KDB. Like if he wants to, he can just be the best like all the time in the entire Premier League. He can be the best one. But I don't know if it's a case of like fitness or injuries or whatever. But usually September to December, I don't see him a lot. But he'll still end up with the maddest numbers. I think he's like more than 15 assists 3 seasons back to back or whatever. I don't even know what the numbers are, but he's a very mad guy. So he can move up. Let's just see how the next 2-3
he's not done by a long shot now. Like, he can adapt his game easily.
And he, like you said about injuries, like the last 2 seasons, he has been he's missed quite a few games. Not quite a few, but we're talking like maybe like 9 to 10 games for injury as well. So it's one of those ones. But I'll probably stand by my point. But
no, I hear it.
I like hearing everyone's opinion on it because there's other things which which you bring up, which I haven't taken into consideration. Like obviously the bald patches essentially. Like when maybe he hasn't stepped up.
The man called it bald patches. Fair enough. All right. Just missing out on our top 5. We have another man who was at the top of their game for over a decade, and that's including the era before Sky Sports invented football in 1992. The most Premier League titles as a captain of their team. This one is interesting because we have Roy Keane in 6th with 1 point more than KDB, and Mav has him the lowest out of the 4 of us. Now, am I going to assume that it's because he has a bit of a Paul Pogba agenda? What's going on there, Mav?
Wait,
No, the
Mav has him
reason.
9th.
Who?
Yeah,
Roy
I-
Keane?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
actually, no,
have him
wait. Them men had him 10th. Never mind. Yeah, them men had him 10th.
Okay. Yeah, I had him because it's another Jordan Henderson situation for me. In the fact that Roy Keane as a leader, as just a player on the pitch that you need, Mr. Consistent, Mr. there all the time, does the simple things, doesn't do anything crazy. I absolutely cannot argue that he is in the top 5 if we're going off those. But if we're talking actual footballing ability and not just passion, etc., then for me, Roy Keane, as good as he is, as many accolades as he's got, straight ability, I just don't think he's above some of the guys we put in there. Trying to be honest about it and not be biased, because that is the way I feel about him. I love him, but I'm just being real.
I would say it needs like a bit of balance. Like for me, you cannot ignore the accolades sometimes, and to be like the Premier League captain with the most, it has to have like a serious weighting, right? Like you are captain of a team that has won the most Premier Leagues. Now, the reason why I say balance is because you have some guys, mostly United fans, obviously not yourself clearly, but a lot of United fans will say, oh, he's clear of a certain Frenchman because they had an argument in the tunnel one time, and so Sky Sports always put like, oh, it's him and him up together again, head to head. Who's the better one? When really, like we know,
fantastic Gerrard.
Yeah, we know that like as a rivalry, cool, it was amazing those years. I'm not gonna obviously bait the player, but you can just use logic to know who I'm talking about. But then you have the opposite, which actually his name came up earlier on. People sometimes can act like he was just only like a passion merchant. Like, for example, for me, I don't really rate Gattuso, I can't lie. Gattuso to me is like a passion merchant, run around and slide about and crunch in tackles.
Break people.
I think Roy
Crazy.
Keane.
That
I
is
think
mad,
Roy
bro.
Keane-
But yeah, cool.
I think
Mad.
Roy Keane is a better footballer than Gattuso, me personally. Whether it be ball progressing or whatever. And he's not really a passer like that. He's not a goal scorer or whatever. But I would say Gattuso is more of a passion merchant than someone like Roy Keane. And again, this one is one where you have to factor in the accolades. As much as I don't really like him too tough, I mean, I wouldn't want him in my team personally, but we cannot ignore football heritage. You feel me?
No, yeah. No, I mean, I think Gattuso is actually a very good reference towards Roy Keane. I think they're very similar players. I think Gattuso, for me, as I said at the start, I think he's underrated. But if we are talking ability-wise, I still put Gattuso in the same area as a Roy Keane for me. I think he was fantastic, and the team needed that player. But realistically, if we are going off pure ability, I would rate them in the same area, which is needed for the team. And if you're talking team importance, they're up in a 2 and a 3 and a 1 sort of thing. But if you're talking actual ability and you're ranking them in the team, like if you got United's team when they were winning those trophies and put them in ability order, I think Roy Keane is middle to bottom of that actual footballing ability of that team, and that's why I've got him where he is.
I don't even think that's not popular opinion either.
I fully hear it. I agree with you. That's why I said, like, for some of these players in the list, yeah, obviously we're saying ability has to be the most important thing. But for some people, and again, I'm an Arsenal fan, right? So I hate United more than any team. I hate United more than Tottenham. Because growing up, like, United was my rival. Even now, I still like to watch United more than Spurs or Chelsea or whatever. But for someone to win that many titles as a captain, this is not just like they were on the side and guys are going to... You know that silly argument on Twitter where they're like, oh, does that mean that John O'Shea is the best defender in the world? Does that mean that Jimmy Traore won the Champions League? No, it's not like that. Like, Roy Keane was a guy. Do you know what I mean? For at least, let's say, United times 10 years, and then maybe towards like
Good amount of years.
2004, 2005, and that he starts to slow down a bit, and then Fergie booted him out and that. But yeah, now we get onto our top 5. Funnily enough, 5th and 4th are separated by only 1 point. So these two were very, very close. With 54 points, we have a player who could potentially still finish higher in this list by the time they retire. And his name is N'Golo Kante.
Okay.
I think...
So where's this 5th?
Yes, this is 5th place, 54 points, N'Golo Kante. I had him in 6th place. Ferhat had him in 4th. You had him in 4th, Denman, and Mav had him in 7th. So whoever wants to chat about Kante, feel free.
I'll start off, and it's going to be quite brief. But Kante, and look, everyone knows what you get with Kante. I think where he started off, maybe not as a box to box. I think it's quite safe to say that he is a box to box midfielder, and I don't know if any of you lot disagree with that, but I think it's quite clear he's a box to box. And what he does is just incredible. And everyone makes jokes about him covering like the whole blooming
whole world.
And the thing is, it's reality. Like, he generally is that good. And like, the fact that, I know it's hard to say like, the fact that he's done it in this team, that team, but it's true. The fact that he's done it in the Leicester team is absolutely incredible. That's why I've put him 4th.
I think him being in the top 5 is wild. I can't lie, but
you reckon?
I like, for me again, if we're going off ability, yes, I 100% get what Kante brings you, but straight ability, the fact he's above like KDB, for example, is wild to me. I think he's fantastic and he's got a serious engine room, so on and so forth, but I just
would you say ability is only just like in terms of like attacking output and dribbling and passing and whatever? Ability can just be literally whatever your job is, you do it the best possible. You get it? So Kante's job isn't the same as what KDB's is
hard
to
though.
do,
right? You have to kind of take it all into consideration.
And so it's more than just like he's got like, as the FIFA guys do, 99 stamina or whatever, right? He does more than that, and he can even, we've seen it against your team actually. We've seen it against United a couple times, where their brother can
don't talk about shooting, because he can't shoot.
He can carry a ball very well. He can pass between the lines.
I think Kante is super underrated in his dribbling. Personally, I will be very, very honest. I think a lot of people say or assume he can't dribble, and again, we're not just going off FIFA stats here. He's got such a low center of gravity, and I think people don't realize how many times he changes direction and shifts guys. That side of him is very, very underrated. I'll be real about it, but I just put Kante and Cam and we'd actually be laughing at it, because the guy cannot shoot. He has no end product for majority of the time, in terms of like, I'm not talking simple passes, I'm talking like key like crosses and shots, etc. That side of end product, final third ability for me.
I just think Leicester has to play a massive part in this. Like it is outrageous for a brother to come from the 2nd division France and be, I would say, like one of the 3 most important players, right? We have Vardy, we have Mahrez, and I would say he's the 3rd. Whether you want to put him 1st, 2nd, whatever. I don't know if these other guys would pull up to, again, this is all hypotheticals, it's never going to happen, we're never going to know, but to pull up to Leicester, which we'd all agree probably is the greatest sporting achievement ever, to win a Premier League and be one of the most pivotal parts of that. And then to go to a bigger team. We see often guys are at like your mid-range teams or whatever, no disrespect to Leicester, they won the league, but they're not, top 4, top 6 team.
Well, look at
to then translate it,
bro.
Exactly, bro. Where's Chelsea and where's my man?
That's what I'm saying, though. That's what I'm saying. Like, Drinkwater that season was absolutely incredible as well. So I don't know.
But he translated. That's what I'm saying. But he translated it. It wasn't like a one-off thing where, I don't know, they were taking like peds or steroids or something. He did his thing. He went on to go and do it again at Chelsea and then at France as well. And he's still going. He had like a blip for a while. I think it was Lampard times. There was like a slight
because he was playing box to box. That's literally why. That's literally why.
But we have to look at Lampard. Look at what he's on nowadays. So we can't really. We can't really blame him too much. Obviously, a couple Chelsea fans put some tax on that one, but 4th place. We have one of the most dominant players we'll ever see. People slandered me last week for putting him centre back in my draft. But to be honest with you, you could play him centre back, you could play him DM, centre mid, 10 behind the striker, wherever you want. Yeah, the brother, you'll be fine because he'll be swatting the opponents away like flies. It is of course the Ivorian Yaya Toure in 4th place. I think everyone had him pretty much. I had him the highest at 4th. Farhat and Mav had him 5th. Then when you put him in 6th, didn't make your top 5.
Yeah, well, it's one of those ones where I've kind of jumped in with KDB at top, so that's put everyone down one in the pecking order, isn't it?
Fair enough.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's literally put everyone down one in the pecking order. But yeah, like I say, like, it's one of those ones where I could easily swap him and Kante. Like easily.
Yeah.
Do you know what
I mean,
like,
they were 1 point apart from each other, so
yeah,
it makes sense.
I can literally easily swap him and Kante, and like he's just unreal, wasn't he? Like he's just brilliant.
Yeah.
And I think
Unstoppable on this day.
he just like he even won like African Football Player of the Year like 4 years in a row as well. Like that's
In a
insane.
row.
Like bearing in mind like the amount of amazing African players which we've had as well, like throughout that time as well. Like it's insanity. And like I said, he'd done bits at City. Like he was part of that City squad, which was just like going through and like starting to become like a massive dominant force. And not to mention as well the role he was playing and the season he bagged like 20 goals, by the way.
Yeah, bro,
Yeah.
20 goals.
Disgusting. Like, can we
20
leave it?
goals, 9 assists. Not like he was the main outlet either. There's like 4 or 5 attackers ahead of him, and he just bagging 20 goals.
And in
9
some of those
assists.
games, he played DM
Bro, it's
basically.
crazy.
as
Yeah.
well. It's
By
mad.
the way, his
It's
ball
mad.
carrying skills as well. Like the fact that this man would literally stride through people.
Yeah.
Like,
Nah,
if
he's
you look at the old
ridiculous.
clips of him, like the geezer would just
Oh, I
glide.
got bare goals in mind. There's one at the Aston Villa where they had the white and purple checkered thing.
Relax.
There's so many of
Relax.
these goals that I can think of. At Pallet, he just glides through. But I would say at the same time, yeah, if I could think of one weakness, I don't think he's that disciplined defensively. That's why I think
In midfield, no, I 100% agree.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's
Like,
the only
he's
thing
not
that lets
really-
him down. Yeah.
Well, and the fact that he gets a bit salty when you don't buy him birthday cake. But like aside from that one, in terms of his defensive like vibes and that, I don't see him too often wanting to like proper like track back like a maniac. Like we know he could do right if he wanted to, but the thing is his the benefits far outweigh the drawbacks of him not really tracking back too tough. So when you got guys like Fernandinho and whatnot that are gonna do that for you, he can just be there as just some immovable object and he'll find a way.
Yeah.
The brother, no backlift, no nothing. He's hitting finesses, 40 yards. Crazy guy.
Just
man.
unbelievable, isn't it? Like, I
Bro,
don't-
just unbelievable.
He's one of the players who genuinely, like, even if he didn't have them stats of like that crazy season, the eye test is the perfect thing for Yaya Toure. Like when you just watch him play, you understand. And I'm gonna revert back to Tottenham here, just when I talk about like the eye test. Like it's players like Moussa Dembele, where like the eye test, you look at them, you know they're good at football. And I'm sure you lot can think of players who have played for your clubs where. Like sometimes the eye test does have to come out, and he's definitely one of them players. Big John McGinn.
100%.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think he kind of embodied that transition period, like Denman kind of touched on, that made Man City a force, going from a joke team to this brother's on smoke and we're in trouble, sort of thing. And
you don't think it was Robinho, no?
no, definitely not. It was definitely Robinho and Joe.
Name is redacted because that brother is in prison. I used to love that brother, but that brother is redacted.
Yeah, that was been wiped off the map now.
Yeah. No, obviously, Yaya Toure, listen, he's a madman, but I think now is where we get to the real McCoy. Where he gets cheeky and that. The majority of us had all 3 of these giants in their top 3, just with different orders. One person here didn't, but that's okay. We'll get to that.
Yeah, we know who that is.
Taking the bronze medal. This is someone who defies all logic of our criteria and whatnot. I say that because in our debates we've given you all the things that we're using to use as factors and we're weighting them differently or whatever. But this one player, out of all our top 10, even 11, 12 if you go further, is the only one that has no Premier League titles. It's Steven Gerrard with 72 points. Mav, you had him as highest, so I'll let you go. You put him number 1, so I'll let you speak on Steven Gerrard.
Yeah, I see. I will be very, very honest, and it's kind of cop out-y, but the top three for me, I don't care which order you put the top three that I've put there, and I've said this multiple times on my stream. I do not care which order you put these around, but with a gun to my head like we are here and having to go 1, 2, and 3, that's where I'm gonna put
just
him.
For reference and sponsors, please. There's no gun to his head. He volunteered to come on the podcast in his own time. So please continue.
Yeah, I am here of free will, but yeah, no, absolutely. I think if you had to twist my arm, better reference than maybe gun to the head, and say who are you putting number 1 for me, Steven Gerrard. I mean, I don't know what this guy couldn't do.
I hear it.
That, to be fair.
Furhat, what are you telling me, bro? Furhat, you had him as second.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Chat to me.
The thing is with Gerrard, yeah. When I made this list and sent it to you, I can't even lie to you. I've changed the order between 1 and 2 like 3-4 times. I wasn't really sure. I wasn't really sure because, like, Mav is 100% correct. Like, when we talk about Gerrard, he's probably, like, the most, what would be the right word, like, mythological player there ever was.
Yeah, iconic, I guess. Iconic.
Yeah, he could genuinely just do it all. And he had so many clutch moments in him as well. Like, when we genuinely talk about Gerrard, I think, on, like, the whole of the list, he's probably the most complete player. But him missing the title kind of, put him second for me. That's genuinely the only thing. Because if we talk ability, I'll put him first all day.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense. I mean, for me personally, as Mav said, there's all the list, like, you're free, it doesn't really matter too much. But in terms of the English ones, Gerrard is my favourite by far. But, like you said, in an all-time best ever, and you don't have one title, it's a little bit of a stain. I can't lie. It's a slight stain. And we're saying to be number 1, I don't think you can be like number 1 best ever and then you have 0. Do you get it? But I've got him. In third. Me personally, I think like I said, favorite English one. Me when I was in school, I wasn't screaming. When I'm hitting long shots or volleys, I wasn't screaming other names. I'm screaming Gerrard every time. Gerrard! I'm not shouting. I'm not shouting Henderson. No one nowadays in school is shouting Henderson. Do you know what I mean? No one does that, bro. It's Gerrard, Rudy. Like,
yeah, no, it's literally Gerrard, didn't it? Like it literally is Gerrard, didn't it? Like,
so in terms of legacy, like he's got it, but I just have to factor in that you have 0. That's the only thing lacking for him, to be honest.
I don't know, you know what it is, I just think you lot might be able to prove me wrong here, but I just think when you look at Gerrard, like, I know he hasn't got the Premier League title, I get that, but I'll put him second, by the way, for reference, but like, I'd even argue being first, like, I was going to put him first, like, and then I may have had someone in my ear telling me that KDB should have been first, but I'm not going to.
Then you lost your mind and put KDB first.
Man.
So look, obviously, I think it's quite clear. I've done my list based on ability, like what I thought, especially at the top anyway. But yeah, I probably should have put Gerrard. I would, if I had to rethink it, I'd put Gerrard top, just because I generally think he's that good and like he'd done everything. Like he'd done everything.
The way I would put it is, and I know this is going to be the craziest hypothetical ever, but the way I put it is, if you took all the titles because of the team he played for away from like Lionel Messi, would he not be number 1 still?
It's hard to know because if you took away,
the answer for me is yes. Still,
no, I hear you, but in your hypothetical world, right? If he didn't win all those titles, it means he wasn't scoring all those clutch goals, and therefore he wasn't like. You can't really say that, right? Because it would mean that all the games that he was getting winners and having a big influence, it means they were losing them. So he couldn't have been.
Yeah. But with what Messi does, like, let's say his goals weren't clutch moments in terms of winning titles, etc., but he still scored those goals, and they came second a lot or third a lot, and they always got to the semi-finals, or they won a few Champions Leagues here and there, like Gerrard did. Are we really dropping Messi down from number 1 because of that? No,
but
not for me.
I think we are talking about Messi. Like,
no, I know.
I think
I get that. That's why I said it was good. It's a crazy hypothetical, but I just think he has to be number 1.
I'll tell you this then. So your like example, I know it wasn't like a serious example or whatever, but the reason why I would say it in my way is because we're talking about the other Englishmen who we'll see on this list as well, they are pretty much like neck and neck. So the thing that separates them would be the titles, for example.
True.
Whereas Messi,
Good point.
You're gonna say maybe like some random other like winger or whatever who doesn't have anywhere near the same kind of ability as Messi. So of course Messi's still gonna be the guy. You're not gonna say now Messi's second or fourth.
Yeah.
But in a debate
True.
where
Good point.
two guys are neck and neck, then the last thing to separate them is the accolades. So that's why I've got him there. But yes, enough speaking about Gerrard, a top geezer. It is pretty much the moment we've been waiting for, because once I announce who's second, we know who the winner is. So in second place, 3 Premier League titles, 4 FA Cup trophies. It still hasn't narrowed down for you, man. Has it? It hasn't narrowed down for you. His final Premier League, 4 FA Cups.
No,
his final Premier League club was Manchester City.
I think he has even 5.
And he's now gone on to manage the Premier League team.
Wait. Yeah.
We all know who it is, right? It's Lampard.
75 points. It's Patrick Vieira.
Yeah.
It's Patrick Vieira in
That's
second
what I thought,
place.
yeah.
Wait, did you say 4 FA Cups?
Yes, I did.
I thought you had more than that. I thought you had
No.
more than that.
No. They both have 3 Prems. They both have 4 FA Cups. They both ended their Prem
No,
career.
he has 5. Vieira's 5.
Yeah, he has 5. Yeah.
He won one with
Yeah,
City.
Okay, my
City.
mistake. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he won with City.
Oh, I didn't think about City. True, say yeah. I ignored that one then. Let's redo that one and say it was for their main teams. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, cool. Second place.
So that means he has 1, right? Because City's his main team, no? City legend. You see that tweet the other day?
Oh no!
Just know I'm putting a very straight face to that one. If anything, I should have put. I'll be honest. So I along with 2 others put him as number 1. Now I should be putting him a bit lower because obviously after what happened last night, I'm not really his friend anymore. Actually, he's let me down. For context, in case someone's listening much later, Crystal Palace just slapped us 3-0. However, the reason why I think he is as incredible as he is because you've got guys like Alfie, who is a very, very what word would I even use? White tinted glasses for Tottenham.
Yeah.
He is the biggest of biggest. You see how like Denman says, "Oh, I can respect these players." No, Alfie doesn't do that, bro.
He doesn't.
You're not allowed. But he put Vieira as number 1. I obviously put Vieira as number 1. A bit of Arsenal bias. I kind of had to, but I understand why. He's second. I just think he, at his peak, gets into any team on the planet. You could put like their best possible team out, and I think Vieira gets in. I think
Facts.
It's a case of maybe he has slightly less years in him in the Prem than some of the others, but where we said, for example, Vieira's weakness, Yaya Touré's weakness was defensively. He wasn't really. What's the word? He wasn't really disciplined. Vieira literally could do everything, bro. People don't even chat about Vieira's finishing, his dribbling, the one-touch play. I think he is potentially more so than Gerrard, just in terms of the defensive side, the most complete. But Gerrard's attacking vibes, like that puts him ahead of Vieira in some cases. But Vieira, in terms of being able to do every single thing and to a very high standard, I would go Vieira personally. Denman, he did not make your top 3.
Nah, I would have probably put him 4th, low key. I can't lie. He
didn't make it 4th either. He didn't make it 4th for you either. He didn't. Yeah.
I didn't really. My 4th, 5th, and 6th. Like I said, I didn't really. I could have put him in either order.
Wait, where was he on Denman's list?
He was on 5th in mine.
Oh.
Yeah, he was in 5th in mine, but.
Mad.
I'll hold my hands up on that one. He should have been 4th in my list, just because like I'm just going based off me watching like and like it's hard like it's hard for me to.
No, but he did it right in front of you at White Hart Lane when we won. He did it right in front of you. What do you mean when you were watching? He did it. He crashed it on you at your stadium.
Hey, right. Relax. But no. Me probably I would have probably put him like. I need to redo my list, man. What have I done? I've had a shocker. I've had an absolute shocker. I'm trying to justify.
You know what? I'm gonna say to the viewers here. Leave your top 10 in the comments, and Denman, leave yours as well, because clearly yours has changed a little bit.
You know what it is? Like I've got good logic for a lot of the positions, but I don't know what I've done with Vieira there, and I still back like KDB being like top 3, like, and I stay by that. Like I still do. Like I don't think I'll still put him near there. No, I don't think it is at all. Like if I'm going based on ability,
that's wild.
I think he's got more ability than Lampard. Like,
Huh?
yeah, I think he's got more winning than Lampard.
Cool.
Yeah.
Fair enough, man.
I don't know
Teach
what
their own
does
and that.
Lampard do which KDB can't.
Cool.
No, you have your thing in it. Cause me,
Sorry.
but I don't look at it as like you know, when you go on like let's say you open up a FIFA card, right, and they have the attributes like, oh, this person's sprint speed is better, this person's agility is better. I just look at it and I see the influence that Lampard has. I get, to be honest with you, yeah, Lampard won, right? 83 points. He's first. We can speak about both Lampard and Vieira. It doesn't matter now. Okay. Lampard came first in our list, and like I said, for me, I like Gerrard more than Lampard, but I just to do the same job but in a team that's winning and winning and winning and like winning. A machine. You have to weigh these things accordingly. Ferhat is the only one here who had Lampard as number one, so I guess I'll let Ferhat chat about Lampard and why he rates him as high as he does.
When it comes to Lampard, for me, obviously, once again, Lampard at his absolute best for me was something I didn't watch on the regular necessarily, but when I watched him, every time you could just see his, like, obviously he wasn't as good as, like, defensively as, for example, like Vieira or like Gerrard was, but when it comes to like important moments and like keeping his team in the game or like winning them titles, I think he's just like the ability, the accolades, everything coming together just has to be number one for me.
Yeah, for me, as I said, these three, you can put them in any position. I think if you, and I'm going to say this, so it's going to hurt a lot of people's feelings, but I think if you don't have those three guys as the top three, your ball knowledge comes into question for me, I'm afraid.
Whoa.
And that's
have
just
mail.
where I put it. And Denman, yeah, I'm very aware of your list, but we're just going to leave that one.
I'm going to log into Amenyah's Twitter and get all his bookmark tweets of you, man. You just wait.
Bro, they got deleted, bro. The @change. I don't have Mav's tweets anymore, man. It's tough. It's tough. It's tough.
The new name brand has allowed me to remove a lot of stuff.
No, I hear it. So I guess to end it, I'll ask one cheeky curveball question. Outside of obviously N'Golo and KDB, do you think there's anyone playing now who in 10 years' time could make this list? Because obviously there's only two players here that are currently active. So is there anyone you can think of now at all that can ever get near it? Because I don't know, you know. I think the era of midfielders.
Can I say a bit of an odd answer, maybe?
No,
yeah,
because I just have so much belief in him, but he doesn't play currently in the Prem. That's why I'm saying odd answer.
Okay, no, go for it.
I think that Jude Bellingham this summer, most likely, with how young he is, he's like 18 still. I think he could go into the Prem and go into the top 10. I think he has that ability. From what I watched.
If he goes Liverpool and we see. The only issue with Liverpool is I don't know what going like in terms of Klopp leaving and whatnot. They seem to be set up for the next 4 or 5 years with the new.
Why do I feel like that's just a myth, which like is kind of put on us on Twitter that Klopp, when he leaves, like he's leaving soon, like.
I don't think soon, right?
It's the contract, and he's been saying for a while like he's not gonna do it forever, right? It's not like
obviously.
It's not like out of nowhere. It is a thing where.
But out of midfielders currently in the Prem, it's hard. It's really difficult.
It's very, very, very difficult. 100%. I don't. There's no player. The closest player, for me personally, right now, that could have a chance, but it's so outside. It's flipping crazy. Is Conor Gallagher. And that depends, in my opinion, on. Obviously how what Chelsea do, and because obviously he's going to go back to Chelsea, and he, in my opinion, the only player he doesn't misplace in that team is Kante, and I think that moving forward, depending how Chelsea perform, he's obviously got an opportunity to really show his quality, but that is so outside. I'm kind of annoyed I said it, but if we have to pick a name, that's the closest we've got to one in the Premier League, in my honest opinion.
No Pogba?
No, not at all. He turns up 5 times a season, but he's
no
still my boy. He's still my boy.
Your boy.
On his skip, bro. He's clearing that bum Vieira, bro. Trust me.
Anyway, we'll be deleting that from the video. So there we have it. A lot of interesting takes and bold claims. I think I enjoyed it, and nonetheless, to be honest with you, and next week we'll be doing another draft video, so you might see Kurt come back and defend his title. You might see a couple of these guys back on. We're gonna have like 7-8 man and just rotate between whoever has time available. So love to these man for jumping on, because trust me, it ain't easy getting
No worries.
these lots to pull up. So go check their Twitters and Twitches and whatever. Let us know who you think had the best list, I suppose. Let us know your list. Let us know who you think could be one name that might get on the list afterwards. Other than that, yeah, loving it. Keep supporting, keep liking it, and following the Twitters and whatever. You man know the vibes already, man. In a bit. Safe.